Hey everybody, in this video, we're going to talk about what does it take to actually create demand for your business. You know, that term demand generation is one that's thrown around quite a bit in the B2B marketing world, but the reality is not very many businesses are actually creating demand. What they're actually doing is capturing demand. In other words, they're going after demand that's already out there in the marketplace. Now, there's nothing wrong with capturing demand. Every business needs to be able to do that. Certainly, you want to be talking to customers that are in market. But that's not demand generation. Demand generation is actually creating your own demand. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through 7 steps to creating your own demand for your own products and services. So the first step in the process is you really need to understand your niche. In the world of demand generation, we don't want to try to boil the ocean. In fact, you can't boil the ocean. What you've got to do is really spend a lot of time thinking about who are those customers you're most able to serve. Take a look at your best customers that you have today and really just go look at, what are some commonalities? Look at the firmographic data. How big are they? What types of businesses are they? What industries are they in? Maybe geographic data. But you also want to look at the psychographic information. For example, at Vindy, we know that our niche are B2B marketing leaders that don't really want to execute digital marketing on their own. They know they need to be in digital marketing. They just don't want to do it themselves. So they're looking for an agency like ours that can really help them think through the strategy and execute that strategy for them. So that's kind of our niche. So the first step of the process is really understanding what your niche is. Once you've got that figured out, you can move into step number 2, which is really beginning to think about what is their desired outcome. So now that you know what their niche is all about, or your niche, the one that you're going after, really start to understand what are the common things that they're trying to achieve as a business. We would call that your desired outcome. In our business, our clients are really trying to generate more revenue or grow their pipeline. And so that's really a key driver. That's their desired outcome. The next thing you need to think about, though, is that driver. So if the desired outcome is more pipeline or more revenue, what's driving more pipeline and more revenue? So you need to think about that. In our world, that would be more qualified leads. If you generate more qualified leads, you're going to generate more pipeline, you're going to grow your revenue. But you've got to take it a couple of steps farther back. So once you understand the driver, which in our case would be more qualified leads, then you have to ask yourself what influences those drivers. So in our case, that would be qualified traffic. And so that would be an influencer. And then the last step in really understanding what are your target customers really trying to achieve is what are the obstacles? What is keeping them or preventing them from accomplishing their desired outcome? So step 1 is understand your niche. Step 2 is understand what they're trying to achieve. And then step 3 is really learn their buying process. So it's not about your selling process as much as it is about learning what it is that how they buy. Right? At the end of the day, we can't force a B2B buyer through our process. What works so much better is understanding what is it that they need to know in order to make an informed purchase decision. So take the time to map it out exactly, kind of working backwards from, okay, they just signed a deal with us. Let's work backwards on and understand what are all the steps they need to go through. What's all the information that they really need to learn in order to make this purchase decision. So that's really step 3 in the process. So once you've figured out your niche, you understand what they're trying to achieve, you've understood their buying process, now you're in a really good position to develop your content pillars. And we recommend at Vindy that you come up with 3 to 4 content pillars. These are 3 or 4 areas or categories of content that you're going to write about that really connect the dots between what your niche's desired outcome and your unique selling proposition. So how are you uniquely qualified to help them achieve this desired outcome? And here's the key point. Historically, we've heard content marketing is kind of about spray and pray, right? Write a lot of content about a lot of personas, get it out there everywhere. At the end of the day, if you're really going to try to generate demand, My recommendation to you is pick these 3 to 4 content pillars that really connect these dots between what makes you unique and this desired outcome the business is trying to achieve, and focus all of your content efforts there. So take some time and think about, what is your superpower? What is it about your business that customers can only get from you? And how does that relate to these 3 to 4 categories or content pillars, your stakes in the ground? Moving on to step number 5, now that we've got our content pillars, we actually need to create some remarkable content. One of the first things I recommend is that you actually create the ultimate guide to blank. Now, you might feel like that's overused. There's a lot of ultimate guides out there, but I think it's a great starting point because it forces you to think about, what is it that this buyer needs, my niche customer? What does it need to take them from where they are today to a better tomorrow using our products and services? And when you create this ultimate guide, even if it's 3 or 4 or 5,000 words, think of how you can repurpose that and reuse that to create social content, blog content, etc. Now, when you're creating this remarkable content, it's really important that you focus on your point of view, your unique selling proposition, that superpower, right? But you also want to challenge their norms. You want to challenge conventional wisdom, because at the end of the day, guess what? We're all selling the same thing. You know what that is? We're all selling change. We've got to get them to change where they are today to do something different, right? And so we've got to create we've got to make the pain of same greater than the pain of change, right? Because we're going to try to create momentum with our content to encourage them to move into a better tomorrow. So that's really step number 5. Step number 6, now that we've got this remarkable content, we've got to go promote that content where our customers hang out. So we really need to think about, what are the watering holes? Where does our customer, our niche customer, go to really learn about our industry and learn about how to solve problems and accomplish their goals and objectives? You absolutely want to spend some advertising dollars here. You know, one of the great things about social advertising, especially on sites like LinkedIn, is it is guaranteed delivery of your information to your target customer. So you absolutely need to be thinking about promoting this content with advertising dollars, but you also want to promote it organically in social. You want to give it to your sales reps and have them promote it. You want to get on the podcast circuit and get out there and talk to influencers and share this information to their communities as well. So you want to, step 5 is create the content, but we can't stop there. We've got to move on to step 6, which is actually promote the content. And then finally, moving on to step 7, we've got to really turn our website into a buying resource. So we don't want our website to be a bloated, wordy brochure, but I want you to start thinking about your website as the place where a customer comes to learn everything that they possibly need to know in order to make a purchase decision. One thing you may not be aware of is that B2B buyers are pushing off actually talking to your sales rep to as late in the sales process as they possibly can. And so because that's true, we've got to make sure that all the information that they need is available to them very easily on your website. So make sure that your website is answering the 3 key questions. What do you do? What's in it for me? And how do I take the next step? And make sure that you're really kind of looking at that process and making the user experience as frictionless as possible. Okay, so if you follow these 7 steps that I just walked you through, I promise you can get out of the just capture demand business and actually start creating demand for your business.